So there was a Owen Jones article that Sargon of Akkad had shared on his Facebook page, which really caught my attention, and it's called this: Boris Johnson's cheerleaders are delusional. No good Brexit deal is possible. Owen Jones in his article is saying that there cannot be a good deal for our country because the EU will not allow it, because this is an existential threat for them. If we have this good deal, then that could easily encourage countries like Poland, Hungary, Italy, Greece breaking off from the EU, because these are the countries that are suffering terribly because of the way that the euro works and how the power dynamics at play work within the union, which is why their deal, which they refuse to negotiate over, they will not in any way compromise with us over, is the way that it is. Because to all the EU leaders, this is a matter of life or death, metaphorically speaking, for the EU. This is a problem then, because if on the Remain side, which he is a part of, if this is so, if there can be no good deal for us, because Parliament, let's not forget, rejected Theresa May's Chequers plan and all the other variations of it several times. They don't agree with Theresa May's attempts to push for a new deal, and as far as I'm aware, no deal apparently is really, really bad. But if there can be no good deal, if the EU's proposed deal is not good enough for us, and if Theresa May's attempt at a deal, and I don't know if Boris Johnson has actually managed to outline what his potential deal would be, if that's not going to be good enough, then why is no deal something that we should avoid? Remain is terrified of a no deal Brexit. They're absolutely terrified of it. Why? Well, let's just look at it like this. They're worried that if we leave with a no-deal Brexit, we'll be stuck at square one. We'll have to go out, negotiate trade deals with all these countries. We will have to go through many different legal avenues to sort out the mess of our legislation, because there's a lot of EU stuff there that needs to actually be removed as well. They're worried about where that would leave EU nationals within the UK, because again, without a deal to work out what's going on with them, how can they be sure that these people will not just be deported en masse, or from the Brexit point of view, how do we know that they won't get lost in the ether? Nobody wants them to be lost in the ether, nor does anybody want to be unfairly deported. And also there's the matter of Northern Ireland and the backstop and stuff like that. Now, I don't know what a no-deal Brexit would do in regards to the backstop. Personally, I think that that's between the UK and Ireland, not the EU. I don't think the EU has anything to do with that whatsoever. That is something between two sovereign nations, because the EU's forgetting that Ireland is its own nation and it's actually closer to us, not just in geography, but in terms of culture and language and history, than anywhere on continental Europe. Whether or not that's a positive thing for British or Irish people, regardless, we are closer to each other than them, and therefore I think the two governments should be the ones hashing it out. The EU really shouldn't be involved in that. I don't see what their reason for getting involved is. I just don't see it. They weren't involved during the Good Friday Agreement, as far as I'm aware. So really, I think that's what it will boil down to, a deal that we will reach as two countries, and that's why I'm more optimistic about it than, say, others. As for the similar problem with the EU nationals, well, again, that's something we're going to have to deal with if a no-deal Brexit happens, either with our own laws or with the other countries involved. Personally, I don't see why they should all just leave or be lost in the ether, considering we already have their documents. Anyway, they're all documented people, they're all here legally. I assume if they're on permanent visas or some kind of stay, or they're going through citizenship processes, allow that to continue. If they're on a temporary visa, then it's up to us to decide if they should stay or leave, basically. But again, it's up to us to talk to the EU and all these other nations about what to do. Again, much like the backstop, I think there's more cause for optimism than negativity. For some reason, these socialists are all big on free trade. It's called free trade for a reason. You can go out and trade with whoever you want. And people are forgetting that we are currently in a free market capitalist economy, and that's pretty much most of the globe. Even socialist countries have free market areas, like China. Individuals can go out and trade with other individuals. Trade will continue to happen regardless, because human beings in this system can go out and trade with whoever they want. We don't need a country's permission necessarily to go out and buy their goods or sell our own goods. Trade will happen. Individuals will make it happen. Now, obviously, that means that they will be forced to contend with tariffs or other barriers to entry and things like that. And that's where trade deals come in. That's where we negotiate with these countries. But as far as I'm aware, that's what a trade deal would be trying to work around, to discuss with. How can we get our business over there? They're not necessary in our system. We don't actually need them, because everywhere that isn't mercantilist, that isn't fully 100% protectionist, will allow these people in to sell and buy their goods, as long as they bring their passports, I guess. as long as they abide by the rules. And if they have to pay tax, they have to pay tax. So if the Chequers plan wasn't good enough, if any potential deal that Boris Johnson could bring about isn't good enough, then what is a good deal for the Remainers? Because I don't know. I mean, if there's any Remainers, and there are Remainers who follow my channel, what's a good deal to you? What would you say is a good deal? Because to me, that's 100% control over everything that makes a country, from immigration to the economy. Everything, every facet. That's what a good deal is. The EU basically has no say in how we run our affairs. I know that's a very simplistic and very one-dimensional, maybe even two-dimensional way of putting it about, but I can't think of anything else other than being a sovereign country. Because let's be honest, right guys, you don't know what you want, do you? You're like those girls on Tinder who join it, but they don't know why they're joining it, and they don't know what they want. Only, you know you want a deal, you know you want to remain in the EU, or if you have to leave the EU, you need a deal, but you don't know what this deal is, and you don't know what you want, because everything just seems to be muddled with everybody throwing things out there and rejecting everything that comes their way, but nobody actually offering us any solutions to this deal question. You just seem to have this ideology, and this ideology says that you must be pro-Remain, you must be pro-EU, for whatever reason that may be. So you must support anything that is pro-EU in order to achieve this goal, or really what it is to preserve this goal of being in the EU, having more integration into the EU. Because otherwise, why would you keep rejecting all these deals? Why would you keep pushing this line that Boris Johnson wants a no-deal Brexit just because he said at one point, if we have to leave without a deal, so be it. Even though he said, firstly, and what he's been consistently saying since then is, a deal is what he actually wants first, but he wants a better deal, a new deal, which is better for Britain, which, as we all know, is not going to happen, unless he's a really good negotiator, or he has somebody who is a very good negotiator for him, but I just don't see that happening. So either you guys need to think of something, you guys need to come and tell me what you guys, as I said before, would like to see in a deal, otherwise you'll have to suck it up and realise that, there's nothing good for us, because the EU won't allow us to have good deals. And why is no deal bad? Why would a no deal Brexit prevent all of that? Because we still have the rest of the world that we can trade with. The EU isn't necessary to trade with the rest of the world. We have the Commonwealth, who we've traded with before we even joined the EU in the 1970s. America's already said several times that they have a deal just waiting for us, and we don't necessarily trade physical goods anyway. I'm pretty sure that our largest trade, if you can call it that, is financial services. There's a reason why London is what it is, why a lot of our capital cities have such massive financial sectors. So is no deal Brexit really that bad? Is it not worth the risk? But that's all I can say now with this video, so until next time, it's been your boy. Like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all later.